What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be showcasing my internal operations and automations that allow me to create over 5 campaigns in less than 10 minutes. Let's dive in. So if we were to look at my Smartlead account over here, we refresh the page, we've got 3 active campaigns that you can look at, and this is filtered by myself, right? And what we're going to be doing is, in just a split second, we're going to be creating a brand new campaign inside Smartlead, leveraging this automation right here. So this is running, it's creating the campaign, updating the schedule, creating the sequence, updating all of the lead categories, everything automatically for us. And when we come back over here, refresh the page, we're going to have a brand new campaign created. When we click edit and we go to the sequence over here, we've got all of the copy, we've got the different variations, and we've got the 2 steps, right? Now let me slow down and let me explain what's happening, right? So this is our internal project management tool. It's called Clickup. You can do this in Notion, Airtable, any tool that you want. It really doesn't matter. The simple framework is having a playbook. What a playbook is instructions for ChatGPT. So if we were to look at one of these playbooks, for example, this is what it looks like, right? The first sentence is, the second sentence is, third sentence is. That's what a playbook is, right? And if you don't want to do this, you can actually create a manual playbook. And so we will create a manual playbook. We'll also do an Apollo sequence to show you what the different outputs are. Next thing you need a client database. If you're not an agency, then you simply need to have a way to store what you do for the as a company, right? So in my case, I've got a client database, and every single client has a company description, value prop, and pain point, right? We leverage this when we are coming up with the emails. By the way, there's tools that exist like Twain, for example, that can allow you to do this without setting up all of the automations internally. And they still also require the same thing. They still require problem, solution, competitive advantage, all of this stuff, right? So regardless of what you do, you're going to need to have this description, value prop, and all that stuff, right? Next up, once you've got that set up, you basically want to take the email through a sequence of steps. And so mine is choose a campaign playbook, generate campaign copy, create copy Spintax, manually create variations, add the campaign to Smartlead. That's what you just saw. We're going to go through each of these steps, and we're going to be going over every single automation that makes this come into a reality. So we go back to the email sequence over here. We're in the very first step, which is choose campaign playbook, and we've chosen 2. The automation that's going to allow us to make this happen is generate campaign copy, right? Actually, the first one over here. So generate campaign copy is the one that's going to create the emails. So now we will go ahead and run it. We will move both of these over into the next one. So generate campaign copy. And now this automation is going to start running. It's basically going to get the campaign, the client, the playbook, and then it's also going to get it's going to aggregate all of that data together to then come up with email 1, email 2, email 3, and the subject line, after which it's adding it to the Clay to our account. Side note, it's also creating a Clay table. So this is what our Clay account looks like at the moment. We refresh the page. It is basically, what it's doing is it's duplicating this master table and then adding it to the specific client folder. So let's refresh the page again. We go to a Fonto. Actually, let's see if that even happened, right? So we click on this, did move table, rename, duplicate. This would be the one. Right. So what actually happened is the table doesn't exist, but the automation still works. And by the way, I'll dive into every single one of these later on. The automation works. The table just doesn't exist. So this table over here, this doesn't exist. So if we were to click on it, it doesn't exist. So it just goes to the normal Clay table. Anyways, so the Apollo sequence, because it's one of our playbooks with detailed instructions, this comes up with a subject line, comes up with an email. As you recall, the first line is first name, second line is text personalization 1. Go back to the playbook. As you can see, it's exactly like that. And then the second sentence is boom, 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 right? And then we've got a second step. We can also create a third email if we want. In fact, we will actually create one. So this is third email just for the sake of this example, right? And then for the manual playbook, this is where you would actually be creating your emails on your own. And so one of the things that I leverage is copywriters. And so a copywriter would come up with this email for me. And I would simply input it into this email section over here, right? And we'll also grab the second step of that email, which is the reply, right? We will grab that as well. And then we will put that here. So as you can see, the manual playbook, nothing happens with that. And then finally, I will also grab the subject line from this over here. So integrating AI, I'm not gonna overly complicate it. I'm just gonna grab just the subject line, and then we'll move on. Um, okay, so we've got all of this information. The next step is moving it over onto the next step, which is generate copy Spintax. And this is going to trigger another automation, and the automation that it's going to trigger, I'll delete that for now, is this right here. So this is the automation that it's going to trigger, which is campaign copy Spintax. And we will run it. By the way, like I said, I'm going to be going over all of the automations towards the end of the video. So create copy Spintax. This is going to start running. It's going to look at email 1, email 2, email 3, and then eventually send the Spintax back into Clickup. And so if we were to look back at the emails, this is what the email looks like. Are you finding the task of generating high quality leads for your business draining and frustrating? This is where a Fonto can make a difference, right? Just wanted to follow up on my previous email. A Fonto does XYZ. Third email, right? And now, by this point in time, the Spintax should have been created. And so if we go back, hold on a second. If we go back, it does not look like it. Oh, there you go. So, hello, first name. Hi, hello. Are you experiencing? Do you find the task of generating? Da, 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 da. This is where a Fonto can step in, can make a difference. Da, 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 da. Right? All of this, right? And obviously, there's a few problems with the prompt that I just need to simply fix, like the fact that the second bracket got disappeared over here. Right? This is stuff that is very easy to fix. Right? You just prompt it to say like, if something exists, don't make a change to it. But now what we need to do, it even avoid making, okay, well, there you go. So things like this, although I would never actually send an email that was just 30 email, avoid making more than 2 spit texts. Okay. There you go. Okay, now we move on to the next step, which is manually creating variations. And so I actually prefer to create variations manually as opposed to leveraging AI or anything like that, because I might want to test different things at different times, right? I might want to test a different CTA, right? So I can grab this email over here, and then I can do different CTA, right? So I can do a different CTA. I can also just not do any variations if I wanted to. Like, it's really up to me, right? But I do prefer doing it manually. For now, we're just going to put all of the variations and just leave it like this, right? And so at this point, it's where we were just at, which is creating the sending the information over into Smartlead. And so if we go over here, do add campaign to Smartlead, this is going to trigger that automation that we've previously seen that adds the campaigns over into Smartlead. Now, I want to explain a little bit more about all of the different nuances of why this is relevant, why this is useful. And by the way, like, we go back in here, the sequences are here, the emails, everything is here, right? All of that, including all of the settings, including everything, right? So this, like, it allows us to like be super fast, like super fast, right? But the reason we do that is not only for the sake of being fast, but it's also for the sake of being organized. So this is one automation that I really like. It is create a new weekly task for the user. Um, and so this simply searches for every single one of our active clients and then creates a task. And this task is simply saying, create a campaign for the client, right? So client name, create a new campaign, right? And then you give a due date of 3 days. And then we have a dashboard that tracks all of that stuff, right? I've obviously filtered out some clients, but we've got a dashboard that says like, hey, you've got these clients over here, create the campaigns, and you're overdue on some of these, right? Like this, for example. I actually deleted some of the campaigns before this, besides the point, right? So it helps us stay on top of our tasks. Next up, inside our onboarding process, we've got a bunch of different steps that we go through, right? Onboarding doc created, domains purchased, adding domains to ClickUp, all of these things, right? But then we also have another step over here, which is create email campaigns. This triggers an automation over here, which is, we go back to campaigns, creating campaigns. Um, we'll actually just start again. So creating campaign, and then it's create new task, right? And so in this, I hate that it just keeps doing that. In this, when a client is moved over into the active status, we create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 campaigns, right? And we can actually afford to create that many campaigns because of how streamlined our process is. And so we've got 6 campaigns ready to go, each of them having due dates, right? So this is what the creating the campaigns look like, right? We've got a due date of 14 days, and then we've got it for the client, and then we start working on that, right? And so that's another reason why this is important. And so we got to actually navigate back to the automations. So I've gone through these ones over here, and then the generating campaign copy you've seen, and I'll come back into it. Spintax you've seen as well. Generating copy playbook testing, send campaign copy to Smartlead, and then these ones are the ones that I give away for free. Okay, so we'll go into this one over here, and then let me show you what it looks like to generate the campaign copy using AI. So as I mentioned, we get the campaigns, and getting the campaigns is simply just getting the ID of that campaign, and then getting the client is mapping the client custom field back to the campaign, right? And so if we look at the campaign over here, we've got a client over here, right? And so this client has a unique description of everything that they do, the company description, value prop, pain points. And so the reason why we reference it is to get that information, right? And so when we get a client, in fact, I will show you what it looks like. So this is client 1, I believe, right? And so sorry about that. We will get client 1, which should be a Fonto. When we pull up client 1, that is me, we've got all of these custom fields, right? The custom description, the value prop, the pain points. This, along with the playbook, which does the exact same thing as the client, is what we leverage for our AI prompt. And so this is what the AI prompt looks like. It's like, help me draft an email that introduces our company to potential prospects. This is the description, this is the value prop, this is the pain points, and then follow these instructions. And remember, the instructions come from the playbook over here. And if you don't want to create a whole comprehensive playbook system, you can simply use a tool like Twain. You can use a copywriter to come up with the emails on your behalf, or you can even write the emails. But having a system like this allows you to streamline the operations seamlessly, right? And so we go back into this automation. This is what the first step is. This is what the second step is. Third step, literally the exact same thing, right? Nothing special, right? And then the subject line, this is the prompt for the subject line. Just generate 3 subject lines. And all I need to do at this point, I mean, this one's actually pretty much done. There's no real challenges that I ever experienced. The challenges come in the Spintax one, which I've already shown what the problem is, right? After that, I don't know why this is called create clay table. Anyways, after that, it creates it modifies the task name to meet with the playbook name, and then it adds the subject line, the emails, all of that directly into the campaign, just like how you guys have previously seen. And so let's move on to the next one, which is creating the copy Spintax. And by the way, the reason why I run into those errors that you had seen is because my prompt is just super generic. It's just like, create Spintax for the following email, avoid more than 2 Spintax variations, right? And so I need to actually give it some sort of examples, or I need to make the prompt more comprehensive. But it does the same thing. It gets the campaign. The campaign gives it all of the emails that exist at the moment. And then from there, In fact, I'll show you what it looks like, right? So we put in one of these IDs over here, which is the task ID, right? We put in the task ID, and then this, once it's run, it's going to give us the custom fields, including the emails, right? So email one, email two, email three, right? Then we put these emails into this step over here. And once it's done, we send it right back into ClickUp. So as you can see, it's like super simple to do, right? It's not super overly complicated. This just streamlines it like amazingly, right? And then finally, it's just the playbooks, right? And so I've got the playbooks over here. I will just glance over it because it's not super relevant for every single person. But this is what it looks like, right? We go through all of these different steps. This is what the steps are. So one, it's new. Two, we generate the instructions. So the instructions that you had seen, we generate them. And typically, the idea with the playbooks is that if we see a good email that we see somewhere, we want to basically grab that email and then put it in a playbook so that we can get the instructions and replicate it over and over and over, right? And then running playbook tests. So we run that same email, that same playbook across all of our different clients to see if it produces good, consistent results. And then we create a clay table, and the clay table is what is duplicated as we're creating the campaigns, right? And by the way, the reason why that clay table earlier was not working is because of this. So when we go into the playbooks dashboard over here, the Apollo sequence has a clay table of its own, right? And this clay table at the moment, um, where's the clay table? Does not exist. So that's another thing, right? So you just want to make sure. Oh, I changed the clay table. It didn't used to exist, right? So this is what the clay table used to be. I changed it. So I actually need to have an error handler inside the automation. But besides the point. And so that is the gist. Let me show you some bonus things that you can do once these campaigns are live. So once the campaigns have been created, they've gone through your process, and they basically get created, you're going to add the Smartlead campaign URL into your project management tool. As you can see, we added that. And when we added that, it was actually in the send. Oh, I never actually showed this one. I never showed this one. It was in this automation right here, which is send campaign copy to Smartlead, right? The final thing that we did over here is adding the campaign URL, campaign ID, all of that stuff, right? And so we send the campaign URL, all of this information over here, and then we have the next section, which is the analytics section. And so the analytics section basically helps us track all of the campaigns that we've got going on. In fact, let me add a filter over here to show the client. So client is Afonto. And then we show closed for Afonto. These are the ones that you were looking at, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. These are the exact same campaigns that we've got inside our Smart Lead account. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. These are the exact same. As you can see, 45, 17, 25, right? These are the exact same campaigns that we have over here. And the reason why I like it like this is because it allows you to see other data that you might not have otherwise been able to see, such as the bounce count, but more importantly, the not started, in progress, and completed. If you wanted to see that within Smartlead, you would have to hover over this section over here, which you're not able to really see, but you would have to hover over this section, which is going to then show you all of those key analytics. Having a dashboard like this allows you to see that easily, right? In addition to that, it allows you to have comprehensive dashboards like this, which are going to have analytics for you, just taking this stuff out, right? And then finally, we've got a table view, which allows you to see how your lead list building efforts are going. So we are able to see that in these campaigns, we targeted these departments, these employees, these industries, these countries, right? But the beginning of it, right? Starting is the task management process. So we create the task all the way up until it's in Smartlead, and then once it's in Smartlead, we have additional automations that give tasks back, give analytics back to us. And by the way, if you check out the Smartlead channel, we have created a video on this topic before, which is creating an analytics dashboard. Hope this video was helpful. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you have any questions or you want to see anything else, just leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this, leave a like. Bye.